Yo, listen up, Rue is stepping up the game, where fantasy Premier League runs in his veins. From transfers to captains, he's always on top, guiding you through every game week non-stop. They say Rue got that Salah flow. Welcome to the channel, enjoy the show. Wild cards, free hits with so much vibe. If you're hunting for success, then make sure you subscribe.
G'day mate, welcome back to the channel. I'm FPL Roo and welcome back to another FPL video. So in today's video, we're going to be going through my latest draft ahead of the 2024-2025 Premier League season. We're going to be going through each position, goalkeeper, defenders, midfielders and forwards, etc. And looking at the bench as well. If you are new to the channel, please make sure you do subscribe and smash a like on this video. Let's get straight into the goalkeepers. So I've got Flecken, the Brentford goalkeeper. He has Crystal Palace at home in the first fixture, 4.5 million, and he's just over 13% owned. So the reason I've gone with Flecken is I do think Brentford are going to have a good season. I think last season they had a lot of injuries. Obviously, Tony was missing as well. Rico Henry left their left back, who was great the season before, was injured. They had a few players go off to AFCON. So I think they're going to definitely perform better this season, and I think they normally are pretty solid in defence. So that's why I've gone for Flecken. First few fixtures are not the best, to be honest, but that's why I've gone for Areola as well. For Flecken, Palace at home, Liverpool away, Southampton at home, City away, Spurs away. So really game week 1 and 3 are probably the only fixtures you're going to want to be playing him in the first 5. But Areola has some decent fixtures too. So where Flecken has good fixtures in game weeks 1 and 3, Areola actually has pretty bad fixtures in game weeks 1 and 3. So Areola's fixtures are Villa at home, Palace away, then they've got City at home, which is the bad one I was telling you about, then Fulham away, then Chelsea at home. 4.5 million for both of them. Areola's over 11% owned. The only thing I would like to mention though is Foderingham has now joined West Ham, so I'm not sure if he's going to take over the #1 spot. But for now, I think I'm going to have two 4.5 million goalkeepers. Areola might be the one to leave, but I'm not too sure yet. At this moment, I'm pretty happy with him, but there is an opportunity for Areola to come out of the team. But Flecken is pretty much nailed. Let's get on to the defenders. So now we're on to the defenders, and we start off with Ezri Konsa. So the Aston Villa defender comes in at 4.5 million, and he's just over 18% owned. Last season, he started 35 games for Aston Villa, which means he's pretty much nailed. He did start right back a lot of the time, pretty much all the time. So if he does play that position again, it means potentially he can be going forward and maybe getting a few attacking returns. He got 1 goal, 1 assist last season, which again wasn't the best. His expected goals was 2.56, so really he should have got another goal. And his assist was 1 exactly. So right on the assist, probably should have got another goal. Aston Villa, defensively, to be honest, they weren't the best last season, but you do expect a Unai Emery team to improve. Konsa kept 7 clean sheets, and for me, I can definitely see that going up this season. However, they are in the Champions League, so that is one thing to take into consideration, is the fact they're going to have extra fixtures and how will they manage the Champions League run. But for now, I think Konsa is a good pick at 4.5 million. The fixtures for Villa are a bit of a mixed bag, to be honest. West Ham away on the opening day, then they've got Arsenal at home, Leicester away, Everton at home, Wolves at home, then they've got Ipswich away. So they play 2 newly promoted sides in the first 6 game weeks. So for me, definitely some opportunities to play Ezri Konsa in the first 6 game weeks. Anderson up next for Crystal Palace, who's also a 4.5 million defender, just over 22% owned, and last season he did start every single game for Crystal Palace, so 38 starts. He got 2 goals and 3 assists, which is a pretty good return, and clean sheet wise he kept 10 clean sheets, so a decent return, I guess, for a team not in the top half of the Premier League, or not challenging for Europe, I should say. So a really, really good return, and that attacking return, 5 attacking returns, does look really, really good. Fixtures for Crystal Palace, again, pretty much of a mixed bag, but probably better than Aston Villa's. They've got Brentford away, West Ham at home, Chelsea away, Leicester at home, Man United at home. So the first 5, so pretty good. They've got 3 home games in the first 5, and I do really like Palace this season. I think they're going to have a good season under Glasner. Next up, I got Anthony Robinson, another 4.5 million defender. He's just over 5% owned, so a bit of a differential. And last season, he started 37 games for Fulham and he assisted 6 times, so really, really good in terms of assists. Clean sheets, Fulham were pretty good defensively last season, 9 clean sheets for Robinson. And this season, like I said, comes in at 4.5 million, and he is pretty attacking. And I do think Fulham will have a good season this season, just like I think Brentford will as well. But especially Fulham, they've made some good buys. Emil Smith-Rowe has come in, and then plus all the other players coming back for injury, like Raul Jimenez, etc. They start off the season with Man United away, so not the easiest game. But then they've got Leicester and Ipswich, which is key, I think, to why I've actually got Robinson in my team. And the fact that I've got a load of defenders that can rotate with each other is another key thing. So after Leicester and Ipswich in 2 and 3, they've got West Ham at home, Newcastle at home, then they've got Forest away. So some really nice fixtures in there for Fulham. And Robinson can be attacking. He's got 6 assists last season, so really, really like him in my team. Next up, we've got Dan Burn, who did start 32 games last season, 2 goals, 2 assists, so a decent return in terms of attacking and defensive. 8 clean sheets for him. I do expect Newcastle to do better this year in clean sheets. They weren't that great this season, but the season before, Dan Burn actually kept 14 clean sheets. So we know Newcastle can do better, and I do expect them to, I guess, be a little bit better now that they're not in the Champions League and they don't have that to kind of focus on. They can just focus on the league. 23% owned, just over for Dan Burn, and at 4.5 million, he's the cheapest way into the Newcastle defence. And I think he's a real bargain, to be totally honest with you. And he is definitely going to be in my game week 1 draft, unless something crazy happens where they do bring in another couple centre backs or left backs. On the bench, for most of the time, it's going to be Taylor Harwood-Bells. So it comes in at 4 million. He's just over 14% owned. Not expecting too much from him. Southampton player, Newcastle away, Forest at home, Brentford away, Man United at home, Ipswich at home, Bournemouth away. So there are a few games that you could play in, but for me, with the other 4 defenders rotating very nicely, I don't see a world where I do end up starting Harwood-Bells. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and we'll get on to the midfielders. So now we're on to the midfield. We'll start off with Leon Bailey, who comes in at 6.5 million. The Aston Villa midfielder is just over 4% owned. Last season, he had a really, really good season. He started 22 games, but he ended up getting 21 returns, so 10 goals, 11 assists. So really, really good return for Leon Bailey last season after a pretty average first season where he only got 4 goals, 5 assists. Now that Moussa Diaby has now left Aston Villa, I can definitely see Leon Bailey's minutes going up and up and up. And I think the fact that he did return very well last season, 10 goals, 11 assists, as I said, I think that means he's going to be a starter this season. And for me, like I said, with Konza, Villa's fixtures are a mixed bag, but there's no need to start him every single game week in the way I've set up this team. Like I said, West Ham away, Arsenal at home, Leicester away, Everton at home, Wolves at home, Ipswich away. So some nice fixtures there. Next up, Mohamed Salah comes in at 12.5 million, just over 33% owned. Last season, he started 28 games. He did have an injury, went to AFCON as well, but he still got 18 goals and 12 assists. So that's 30 returns, which is still very, very good. He comes in this season, to be honest, mainly because of his first fixture. I think if he didn't have that good first fixture, I probably would be a little bit hesitant on bringing him in because of the new manager. I don't know how Arne Slot's going to play, how he's going to perform. They're going to need some time to, I guess, grieve Jurgen Klopp and playing under Jurgen Klopp. So I'm a bit hesitant with Salah, but Ipswich at home and then Brentford away is just too good to miss out, I think. Then they've got Man United. Then they've got Forest at home, Bournemouth at home. So some very, very good fixtures for Liverpool. If it wasn't for the fixtures, I probably wouldn't have Salah in my team. But because the fixtures are so good, I think you just got to have him in your team, to be honest. Next up, we've got Erebici Eze. So a very, very good season from last season, considering he only started 24 games. 11 goals, 5 assists. So 16 returns in 24 is still pretty good. 7 million, just over 33% owned, so really, really highly owned. Brentford away, West Ham at home, Chelsea away, Leicester at home, Man United at home. So a mixed bag for Crystal Palace, but I think Eze is pretty much fixture proof. I know He's done well against Man United in the past. He's done well against other clubs as well. He's going to be on pens, going to be on set pieces. Yeah, for me, at 7 million, he's a real bargain. Next up, Anthony Gordon comes in at 7.5 million, so a little bit more expensive than Eze. He's over 36% owned. 34 starts last season, 11 goals, 16 assists, which is a very good return for Anthony Gordon, considering the season before he only got 4 goals. But considering that was a lot of goals and assists, most of them did come at home. And for me, it is a little bit worrying that a lot of the first 3 fixtures for Newcastle are away from home. So in the first 5, they've got 3 away from home. But the home games are against teams that do concede goals. So you'd expect to concede goals in terms of Southampton at home, Bournemouth away. So an incredible start for Newcastle there. Then they've got Spurs at home, and then they've got Wolves away, Fulham away. So a pretty good start, I'd say, for Newcastle. But it is a tough one with Gordon. I just think that at 7.5 million, the fact that we know he's going to start, we know he's going to play, they've got Southampton, then they've got Bournemouth. Yeah, it's just too good to not have in your team, to be totally honest with you. Next up, 5.5 million, we've got Callum Hudson-Odoi, who comes in at just over 5% owned. He started 20 games last season, and he got 8 goals, 2 assists. This one is a bit of a punt, to be honest. 10 returns in 20 is okay, but it's not amazing, to be honest with you. But the 5.5 million price mark and Nottingham Forest fixtures to start the season means that I actually do like him as a punt. Bournemouth at home, Southampton away, so the opposite fixtures of Newcastle. Then they've got Wolves at home, then they've got Liverpool away, Brighton away, Fulham at home. So it does get a little bit tough, but the first 3 fixtures do look very good for Callum Hudson-Odoi. And at 5.5 million, I don't think you can go wrong. You can sit on your bench if you want him to. You can come on, maybe play the first 2 games, and then look at and reassess whether you can move him on after that. Overall, I'm happy with my midfield just because of the fact that no one apart from Salah has to start, if that makes sense. I know I shouldn't really think about this way, and I should think no one has to start in no matter what their price, but because of their price, 5.5, 6.5, 7, 7.5, the argument for starting, especially for Bailey and Hudson-Odoi, there's no absolute guaranteed they have to start because they're only 5.5 and 6.5 million. Maybe Eze and Gordon have to start, and I'm happy starting them against anyone. But Bailey and Hudson-Odoi, they don't have to start. And it goes and carries on with my forwards as well. I can play 5 in midfield and not worry about benching one of my forwards. So without further ado, let's get on to them. So with the forwards, we will start off with Erling Haaland. So he comes in at 15 million, as I'm sure a lot of you have heard. He's still just over 35% owned. So I thought he would have gone up by now, but he hasn't. So I think a lot of people are being put off by the price. Not me though. I think 15 million is a lot of money, but I think he's worth it, especially for Man City's fixtures to start the season. Last year, 29 games, 27 goals, 8 assists, so 35 returns in 29, which again is outstanding. But what we're all used to from Haaland's first season of 33 starts, 36 goals, 9 assists, is not really a touch on that. So that's why a lot of people are being put off by Erling Haaland. But they start the season with very good fixtures. Chelsea away, Ipswich at home, West Ham away, Brentford at home. So a good start. Then they run into Arsenal and Newcastle, which is tough. But after that, they've kind of got a clear run up until game week 12. They've got Fulham at home, Wolves away, Southampton at home, Bournemouth away, Brighton away. But to be honest, obviously City can do it against anyone. I just won't be worried. I think 15 million is a lot of money, don't get me wrong. But I think he's worth it. You're guaranteeing 25 plus goals, which you could argue that you can get that, or you can get at least 20 from another player, maybe a Watkins, maybe an Isak. But for me, Haaland, you are guaranteeing that. Whereas the others, can they do it again this season? I'm not too sure. However, a person that I'm sure will do it if he's fit is Alexander Isak. 8.5 million, 55% owned, which is ridiculous, considering he is very injury prone. His first season in the Prem, he only started 17 games. Second season, 27 games, so a bit better. 21 goals, 4 assists last season is the key stat. 25 returns. When he plays, he returns. It's simple as that. And like I said, Newcastle's fixtures are very, very good to start the season off with. Southampton at home, Bournemouth away, then they go to Spurs, who concede a lot of goals, Wolves away, Fulham away. So a very, very good start for Newcastle. For me, I think he's a must-own, to be totally honest with you. If he's fit, he's starting the season. Yes, you could argue Callum Wilson will take minutes off him, but for me, I think Isak's just that level above Wilson, so I can't see him taking too many minutes off him. And if he does, the game's probably won, and Isak's are probably scored. So for me, he's a must-have in your team. Next up is a player I was talking about, so it is Muniz. He had a good season last season, 18 starts, 9 goals, 2 assists. It was a bit of a purple patch, to be honest with you, but he did end the season off very, very well. 6 million he comes in at, and he's 5.3% owned. So he's not an absolute lock for me. I do like him because I do like Fulham's fixtures. Man United away, but I'll probably bench him for that anyway. But then they've got Leicester and Ipswich, West Ham at home, Newcastle at home, Forest away. Is he guaranteed to start? Probably not if Raul Jimenez is fit, but that is a big if. Obviously, he got injured last season and missed quite a lot of the season. But yeah, will he stay fit? I'm not sure, to be totally honest with you. Jimenez started 18 games, which is around the same as Muniz anyway. But yeah, I'm not sure on that. But for Muniz, I do really, really like him. I prefer Chris Wood slightly, but I think Awoniyi will come back and will take minutes off him. I think Awoniyi is probably the number 1 striker there at Forest. But I do think there is a chance they play together. So it is tough at the minute, but for now, Muniz is in the team. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you in the next video.